This video is going to contain roleplay advice for both players and dungeon masters, and a tip for RPing when mental health gets in the way. First, to address the idea that there is one right way to RP, as espoused in A Solid video by Matt Colville. Now, I love Matt Colville. I truly think he's the most interesting person in the world. Yet, when you're exposed to someone enough, watch enough of their content, listen to them talk enough, they will eventually say something that you disagree with. He has an idea that he made into a video, link in the... that there is a right way to RP. Namely, that you try to immerse yourself in your character's mindset and you make decisions that they would make. This is fine, and it's a good guideline, but it's advice that I think is only right for one type of person, the analytically minded, and D&D is for everyone. Also, just to shoehorn in with regards to what he said about using a voice for your character and how it doesn't matter, if you can use a voice, you should. It doesn't have to be an accent, it could be a difference in cadence and word choice. They could speak simply and slowly and eloquently, quickly and frantically, or they could just have a catchphrase or a word that they use at the end of their sentences, like the Amish in Letterkenny.
Wayne, your family's always been very good to our community, and we appreciate it once. You've used us right, and hopefully you feel as though we've used you right, too.
Without question.
We appreciate it once.
The point is, the character should have something that differentiates when they're the one speaking instead of you. I've played in some games with people who don't do this, and it can be legitimately hard to tell which one is speaking, and it leads to confusion and mistakes. Back to talking about RP, people's minds work in many different ways. And if you reflect on it, you'll probably be able to tell what your strengths are socially. I understand that sounds like a big ask, but it's probably something you've already done, just maybe not consciously. We as humans all socialize each other through positive and negative feedback. So your best way of acting is probably something akin to what you already do. Okay, so how does that help us? Well, for example, if you're someone who is used to making people laugh, that's probably where your strengths are. Your best RP, therefore, would come from playing or DMing in a style that's conducive to that. For examples, for DMing, Brennan Lee Mulligan, for a player, Sam Riegel. By the way, don't try to measure up to Brennan Lee Mulligan's galaxy brain level of improv, because that's not fair to anyone. Now, if you are someone who's more analytically minded, then Matt Colville's video is going to help you more than mine is. But your most effective RP will, in fact, likely come from doing an immersive dive into your character's mindset, or, if you're a DM, the mindset of multiple characters, and making choices based on what they would do. His video explains it excellently. I simply disagree with the notion that this is a superior form of RP, because for many people, that isn't who they are as people, and that'd be disrespectful to their own real-life character. Besides, trying to force that if it's not your natural tendencies doesn't sound very fun. And at the end of the day, it's a game. You want everyone at the table to be enjoying themselves. If you're not enjoying yourself, even if you think the enjoyment of everyone at the table is the most important thing, well, you've just guaranteed that at least one person there isn't having fun. So RP how it suits you as a person. Chances are, that'll work better for everyone else at the table anyhow. Now, most people have a mixture of funny and analytical, and somewhere in between. In that case, create a flexible character or characters where you can dabble in a bit of everything and flex those RP muscles. And if you ever feel like you've lost your way when RPing a character's decisions, it can help to have a touchstone for them that's based on their goals. Let me explain. Say you have a character named Celine. Celine. She had a lot of issues with being bullied as a child. Now she has it ingrained in her that she wants to eliminate imbalances of power that lead to the suffering of those who don't have it. So you remember a phrase that's something that's short and easy to call back to mentally, like, I will not allow the haves to abuse the have-nots. Or, I bring balance to the world by lowering some and raising others. Both of these would work for either a Robin Hood style chaotic good character or a druid esque true neutral character. You can also create a touchstone to help you remember their voice or cadence by using a line or phrase that's set into your mind to call back on. I believe it was Billy Crystal who said the secret for him to doing a Russian accent were the words, the lacquer box. Except, of course, he said it like the lecker box. Something about that combination of letters and the way that they go together would allow him to remember how to stay in that accent when saying other things. For me, when I'm doing a Scottish accent and I want to set my mind into that, I'll think back to the movie Highlander when the Scottish clansmen were pronouncing their clan name MacLeod. Except, of course, they'd say it like, MacLeod! Or when Connor is having stones thrown at him, he's being driven out of the village, his friend, I think his name is Angus, says to him, can you walk? And then his response is, I'll bloody well walk out of here! Now lastly, what if you're someone who has ADD or is often forgetful or has some kind of mental health issue? You can think about maybe turning it into a quirk of your character. Seriously, that sounds like a bad idea at first, but you know that crippling social anxiety that's making you late for a session, and then when you think about how people will react to you being late, it makes that social anxiety even worse? Well, if you, when you arrive to the game session, describe your character, I mean, when it's polite, obviously, don't interrupt what's currently happening, describe your character as doing something like sitting in their room, too anxious to come down for breakfast until they finally emerge. And then you put on a big happy smile and in character make some kind of excuse about the shutters being too dark and you slept in. I mean, the big happy smile and that stuff, obviously I'm just evoking an image of a particular character, but whatever would work for the character that you're playing. That way, it not only lets the other players know roughly why you were late, but it also doesn't pull them out of their immersion that they've already built before you arrived. And it can even become kind of charming. Now, if you were late for combat, then maybe your character was in like a daze of indecision and missed a couple of rounds. Who knows? By the way, as someone who struggles with mental health myself, if you do have an issue like that, you don't have to divulge the specifics to anyone. But it is respectful to tell your group that you may sometimes be late for sessions and you don't mean any disrespect and to please start the game without you. And you'll be there as soon as you can, and it's not something anyone would be able to help you with. See the middle part of my video on avoiding scheduling conflicts for details, link in the description. The point of all this is to lean into your strengths as a person, and you may want to also consider leaning into your weaknesses too. If you lean into your strengths, you become fun to play with. If you also lean into your weaknesses, then something that could be otherwise annoying to your fellow players becomes easier for them to handle once they realize that you're aware of it, and done well, can be charming. Just don't overdo it. Just remember they are your problems and you're there to play a game together, not receive therapy. The overdoing it self-check to ask yourself is this. When you RP a weakness, are you making it someone else's problem? The answer is yes, if you're hoping that someone else will take a dive into it with you in RP or out of it. You should be satisfied with people just giving a little grin and saying hello to your character, and then either changing the subject as they continue to talk or moving back to what they were in the middle of when you arrived. Your friends are there to enjoy each other's company, not fix your problems. It takes therapists many difficult years of schooling to learn how to fix other people's problems, and some of them still get it wrong. Trying to get your friends who don't have that training to act as one not only won't help you, it might drive them away. The goal of my tip is to reduce the burden to your table, not add to it. Anyhow, that's the video. The stuff, the Twitch, blah blah, it's down there. You know. I hope this was useful.